Checking connection.
Oh,
You are live.
Hey guys, Coach Ben here, bigbenchas.com. We're here live again in the Big Benchas HQ. So last week we were talking a little bit about my backstory, how Big Benchas came to be. Each week I want to have a different theme and at least try to stick to the theme for the beginning of the show here. This week we're talking about arching, all about arching on the bench press, alright? So I urge you guys, if you're joining in now, try to direct your questions. Try to stay on topic about arching, but if you have any general questions, I'll field them all, and you kind of, again, guide where this show will go, alright? So, arching on the bench. Why don't we start with if it's bad for you? Because there's a lot of misconception out there that arching on the bench press is not a good thing for your back. What you need to keep in mind here is that arching on the bench, there's no axial load. Alright, and what I mean by that is there's no load compressing you down from the top like there is in a squat or a deadlift. Alright, the loading pattern's a little bit different. Alright, so when you're pushing on the bench, you just have that compression from the legs. You're building that tension, pushing back on the bench. So if you have an arch in your back, it's not like we're crushing it from above with a weight like we would in a squat. Arching on a squat would not be a good thing because then you're getting that bone-on-bone action while that weight's crushing you down. Alright, and that's not something we want. That would be bad. But in the bench, it's a little bit different. Alright, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. And I think people want to make it a bad thing because if you saw my post this morning on our profile, you'll see that a lot of people really obsess over arching on the bench when they really shouldn't. It's really a personal flexibility thing. So some people are a little more gifted in that category. For myself, I have more of an anterior pelvic tilt, easier to get my butt down, gives me that illusion that I'm having a much bigger arch. Alright, and a lot of people can't achieve that, so they try to make up arching to be something bad, just to put others that can do it down. And I think that's where that misconception starts getting misdrew there, is that people can't achieve the arch they want to achieve, so they're trying to put down other people's arch. Oh, it's bad for you, you really shouldn't be doing that. We see that all the time, no matter what the topic is. So arching's not bad. I kind of want to put that to rest early for all you that are not sure, you're on the fence, like should I be arching or not, is it going to hurt me in the long run? Because you got to keep in mind too, lifting is a game of longevity, alright, and we want to stay in as long as we can to make constant progress. And if we're hurting ourselves all the time, we're hurting our back, that's no good. And I think there's another misconception that it's bad for your back because people are feeling affected in their lower back. If you're with me on this one, I've been there too, guys, where we're arching hard on the bench, we're creating good leg drive, but we're feeling it in our lower backs. It doesn't feel comfortable. Why is that? Alright, I'm sure you're with me on that, and I still get it sometimes too when I am kind of getting everything right, because it is an awkward position that we're not usually putting our bodies in. More or less, when you're feeling it in your lower back, it's not because you don't have good hip engagement. Alright, what do I mean by that? So I'll demonstrate for you here. Alright, we're going to get into a nice setup on the bench. Alright, get my shoulder pinch and tuck, push them back. You can see how I'm creating that arch now by setting my shoulders. Alright, and say I just, let me get this out of the way, say I just lay here and push back. Alright, if I'm trying to handle considerable weight, that's probably going to affect my lower back. I'm already starting to get a little bit. Alright, you can see how I got a decent arch going there. Alright, but if you think about driving your knees out, so see what I'm doing here? Alright, I'm in my setup, boom. Just that little bit, boom, driving the knees out. See how that almost pushes me back? And I'm feeling my glutes light up just by doing that. Similar on the squat, when we're spreading the floor. Alright, getting that hip engagement. So if I'm loose with my knees and I'm pushing back, I'm probably going to start feeling it in my lower back because my glutes is what protects that area. Alright, if I don't have that, sure, I'm going to feel it back here, especially if I get to a real nice tight arch. Alright, if I do what I just showed you, boom, knees out first, and then push back. Now my glutes are lighting up. I can actually feel them firing right now. That's all it really takes, guys, to help protect your lower back a bit. All right, and I think, that's also that misconception that people are feeling, that pain in their lower back, and they just quickly equate it to arching is not good for you, and that's not the case. And I'm going to tell you why arching on the bench is a good thing for you. All right, and arching on the bench is actually a great thing because it's going to promote longevity. It's going to put your shoulders in a good position. It's going to keep you safe long term. All right, why do people normally get hurt on the bench? All right, shoulder issues, probably number one. Talk to anyone that can't really bench good anymore. Shoulder injury. People come to me all the time. I get emails all the time. Probably the number one thing. Previous shoulder injury, working back into it, all that. All right. So shoulder injury, really big thing. And why are they injuring their shoulders? Why are so many people hurting themselves on the bench? It's because they're not getting into enough of an arch. Let's think of what the arch actually is. It's just you setting your shoulders in a good position. All right, that's all it is. It's pinching your shoulder blades and trying to tuck them down towards your butt and put them in the most optimal position to press the most weight. All right, if we're laying flat on the bench, if we're laying flat here and our shoulders are just loose and I can move them all around, I'm that tight right now, and I'm going to take a huge load and put them right into my shoulder joint, that's no good. All right, no wonder why so many people are getting injured. If I'm just laying here, even when I do feet up work, guys, you gotta be pinched, you gotta be tucked, you gotta be very stable. Upper back, you can't be moving. All right, if we're just laying here flat, everything's loose, that's the number one way you're gonna get hurt on the bench. All right, I can't really think of any other way other than being stupid and dropping weight on yourselves that you're gonna get a real long-term injury. All right, if you're benching like this forever, loose, not thinking about it, just laying back, and then you're putting huge weight through your shoulder joints, I got a bar and that already feels really not great on me. All right, so arching is a necessity if you want to keep yourself safe long term. All right, getting that shoulder pinch and tuck as I talk about, making sure we're sliding back in the bench, getting those shoulder blades folded underneath our bodies, getting ourselves tight in a good position. That's really what creating an arch is. All right, it's not anything with your spine. I mean, your spine's going to bend how it's going to bend. That's part of the personal flexibility component that I talked about. But pretty much the arch is getting your shoulders in a good position, and that's the number one way to stay healthy on the bench, keep yourself healthy long term. And really, we have a guy on the team, just turned 60. He's benching 380. Real incredible stuff. We've had people join the team, Aditya from India, Mumbai, India. Shout out to my buddy Aditya. He came to us with some real shoulder issues. He's having a hard time benching at all. And it's not fun when you're benching, all you're getting is shoulder pain and stuff. So he was getting that. I had another guy, Jason Polanski. Shout out to my man Jason back home in Massachusetts. And he had actual shoulder injury because he ended up hitting a deer at night. He came right out in front of the truck, hurt his shoulder. And he had that impactful thing. So that wasn't even in regards to the bench, but two scenarios where people came to us with shoulder issues, and for the most part, able to get them benching just fine again. It's mostly a matter of getting yourself in a good position, understanding that an arch isn't working against you, it's working for you. All right, and it's gonna keep you healthy long term. I didn't do anything magical with those guys. All right, they might tell you otherwise. I forget the exact quote he used, but he called me something like a magician or something. I forget what it was, but I didn't do anything really. I just put them in a better position, and in turn, that allows you to bench pain-free. Okay, when your shoulders are in a good position, working optimally. So that's why we arch on the bench, is to get that benefit, keep ourselves healthy, long-term, all those great things. Anyone have any questions about arching, feel free to throw them down below. With this live show as well, for those watching right now, if you jump on during any period of this 30 minutes, I am going to be throwing you, not everyone, lucky winner now, I don't have enough to give away, but I'm going to be giving you guys a lanyard. Alright, I'll pick a guy at the end, or a lady for that matter, and I will send you a lanyard. I'll get in touch with you. So every live show I want to do some type of giveaway to reward you for watching live and participating in the show. If you throw up a comment, perhaps you'll be edged to getting rewarded a little bit more. I want you guys being interactive, but I'm going to throw out a team lanyard and try to give away some more items during this live show. Alright, so if you have any questions, again, drop them in the comments below if it's in regards to arching, or if it's not, I want to hear from you. I'll field your questions. Alright, do we have anything going on here, Elvis?
No questions.
No questions yet?
No questions, but the Gorilla 559 said thank you for your tip to break the bar with your arms and break it with your back instead, because it really helped his bench.
Gorilla 559, is it?
Yep.
Gorilla 559, glad to help you out, bud. I'm glad that really clicked for you. Yeah, that's true. We covered that in a video we did last week, where if you're just breaking the bar, because that's a common cue you'll hear to stay tight to the bar. If you're just breaking the bar with your arms, you're going to get a weird overtuck with your elbows. You're going to feel stable throughout the arms. But hey guys, what your arms connect to? Your body, your torso. What connects them there? Lats. Alright, big player in the bench, the lats. Huge thing. We could go on and on about how the lats are a big player in the bench. But you need to be bending that bar with your back rather than just breaking it with your arms. And I'm really glad that cue kind of clicked for you. And I'm sure it could really help out others as well. So guys, again, breaking the bar, think of it more as bending the bar via your back. Alright, so we need those lats to finish it off as well. Alright.
So some mobility, flexibility exercises for a better arc.
Okay, so on the topic of arching, how can we improve our arch? I'm really big on T-spine mobility. Alright, that's the flexibility of your upper spine, thoracic region. Right, that's really the region of your back that it's okay to get some extension, some flexion in. We're talking about, as you can see, I have trouble reaching this area on myself, but up here, upper region of our back. All right, that's really big area to hit during your warm-ups. If you go up to my bench clinics, we have a couple coming up April 21st, 22nd in New York and Massachusetts, and then again May 5th in New York. That's a topic I cover, is bench press warm-ups, and T-spine mobility is a really big one. All right, and it's something that will help you on your arching, because we're trying to take this whole shoulder girdle unit, right, and bring it underneath us. So we're trying to get as much extension back there as we can. So any type of exercise that's going to help our extension of the thoracic spine is going to be good. You've probably seen people, and I'll demo some exercises for you in a sec, but you'll see people do foam rollers underneath them. I don't know who's gotten results that way. I've never tried to do that or had that people do that. That's more trying to manipulate the lumbar area, because you can see that they put the foam rollers underneath here. All right. I don't really encourage that, because if you're having a hard time even getting on the bench over that foam roller, for one, it's not going to help your stability in that press. It's going to put you in a awkward position where you could potentially hurt yourself. Now you don't really have your lower body underneath you and stable. Plus, I've never really seen that progression work that great. There's so many other ways to approach it than trying to load up your bench press with a foam roller underneath. So I try to encourage everyone to stay away from that and do other things, such as some of the T-spine mobility exercises I'm about to show you. One's very simple one that we can do here to help with that. You can throw into your warm-ups. It's just a simple extension rotation. Alright, so say I'm on all fours right here. I'm just gonna sit back. I'm gonna plant with one arm here, and every time we stay planted, I try to always think about keeping that planted hand screwed into the ground, get that lat engagement, just like we're bending the bar. Other hand can go behind your head, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna extend my chest up. You can see I'm pretty locked up there, and then we're gonna rotate out. This is called an extension rotation. If you do a few of these, come back to neutral, extend up, and rotate out. You do a few of these, it'll help open up that area. And that's only gonna help you in your bench. You go other side, extend, and rotate. You can also take it another step, get some of that internal rotation action that we often lack. Hand goes, you can see I already got a pop there. Hand goes behind the back. And then I'm just gonna focus, extend up, and then rotate. And we're working on those little segments. Another thing you can do that I really like, we got a PVC pipe. Another great exercise, and I'll show you right on here. All right, we're gonna get our elbows about shoulder width on the pad, all right? And I'm gonna twist the bar. And that's just to help me get my hands out wider instead of trying to force them out here. Twist the bar, grab out wide, rotate back to neutral, okay? Now, you can see what's going on. I'm getting a lot of external rotation on my shoulder, often something we lack that we need to work on. You know, you can see, for example, with me, if I keep my ribs pinned down, I'm pretty lacking there. I can't even get upright, all right? So something I can work on as well here. Great exercise. Again, reach out, twist back into position. And all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna breathe in. I'm gonna try to keep this towards my forehead, this bar, getting that external rotation on the bar here. And I'm just gonna sit back towards my heels. Breathe in. Trying to breathe into our bellies. Sit back towards your heel. So not only is this helping me, my T-spine, it's loosening up my lats, but it's also working external rotation. So just by doing that little bit, I'm feeling a lot looser, ready to go. And you can see what I just did. Simple external rotation. I did, or simple extension rotation rather. Simple, one of these exercises here where you're working external rotation, getting that stretch in your lats, getting that T-spine extension, all at once. Fantastic exercise. And then another one to get all your vertebrae kind of moving separately of each other, because you know you shouldn't be just moving in segments. We should be able to really extend and flex each vertebrae of our spine. Another thing you can do, and I'm not going to demo this one for you, but you put a lacrosse ball, all right? You pin a lacrosse ball up here, right? See, I have one on my upper back, and then I'm slowly going to peel away and let that lacrosse ball slowly drop down my back, all right? So you can kind of get the gist of that, how I'm trying to peel away segment by segment, rather than, take away my upper back and the ball just drops into my lower back. All right, I want to peel away from the wall segment by segment. So those are just a few exercises that I go to for that extension type of work and just getting our back to move a little bit better. All right, so I hope that answers your question, gives you some tools to throw into your next warm up there. Anything else coming up?
Yep, Joey Cannoli. How do you correct bar path? Sometimes I hit the sweet spot and then the weight flies. Otherwise, I miss groove just a hair and everything goes to shit. Is there any sort of corrective exercise, or is it one of those practice makes perfect kind of deals?
One of those practice makes perfect kind of deals. Joey Cannoli, he's really coming along the bench. I think he's frustrating himself. He's one of the guys I coach. He's more or less kind of frustrating himself right now. I think he's doing very good on the bench. I think he's right there making it all click and come together. He's really improved a ton. So it's really just one of those practice makes perfect type things. But when we're talking practice makes perfect, take the empty bars serious. That's one of the best things I can tell you guys. Take the empty bars serious. As you're warming up, how many warm-ups we got when we go into max effort work? We got like 6-7 warm-ups we got to get through. All right, don't just waste those opportunities. Those are all great opportunities to work on all this stuff before we have a ton of load in our hands. All right, so bar path. If we talk about bar path here real quick, what we see a lot of times is that straight up and down motion, right? We're almost pressing away from ourselves. You can easily get lost with a lot of weight out here. So if we're taking down a max effort load and we don't get that bar moving back over our shoulders soon enough, what happens? We press away, we get stranded, we don't have anything underneath the bar right now. We have to try to get our elbows under and swing that weight back, and it just results in a not great bar path, all right, and it doesn't fly up. It gets stuck about halfway up, and you got to kind of correct that bar path. So, again, good bar path, landing that touch point, all right? So it's about really being precise with your landing, guys, all right? That descent has to be nailed, because if you touch up too high, now you can't throw over your shoulders because you're already pretty much up there. So you're stranded right here in an awkward position where nowhere to go. If you touch too low, now nothing's underneath you. You're going to have to somehow scoop under the bar. So you have to be real precise with that landing. Boom, nail it, and then get that bar moving back immediately. Boom. See that? Boom. Alright, some people are better than others at it. But again, it's one of that, if you do it enough times, that it just becomes natural. Keeping tightness to the bar, like we just talked about, bending the bar with the lats, those are all things that are going to help.
From Kariba, how bad is it if you don't stretch at all before lifting?
How bad is it? Not that it's bad. A lot of people get in, get out. They don't really have time to stretch. It's most definitely not optimal. All right, but as long as you're warming up, you're not going right to your working sets, it's not going to kill you. I wouldn't recommend doing that. I'd recommend trying to get something in, but we've all been through it plenty of times where we're running low on time. We don't have much time to spend doing drills. What I would recommend in that case is pick out 1 or 2 bread and butter exercises that have an immediate impact for you. All right, so don't waste your time. If you don't have time, don't waste your time doing a glute stretch on bench day. All right, be very selective with what you do prior to benching. And listen, it's not like we're doing one set, we're going right back to the next set, right? We have a little bit of time in between our sets. Take that opportunity as well to do, one of the things I just showed you, extension, rotation, whatever it may be. Take that opportunity, really be selective and efficient with your time, but really picking out 1 or 2 bread and butter exercises, sometimes that's all we need. Something that we know is going to give us an immediate impact that we can perform regularly in a good timely fashion once we get into the gym, and then we can get into things. All right, that one I just showed you with the stick, that's one I would definitely play around with and try out. I'm feeling great just by doing that simple thing. And again, if you can't perform it around your training, getting it in end of the night, just do something before bed, make it a point to try to get something in.
She says she rows for a few minutes as a warm-up.
Rows.
All
right, that's good to get the blood flowing, get warmed up and all, but make sure that you're analyzing what you're going to be doing, and then try to really be selective with the mobility work you do in order to enhance and optimize that movement that you're going to be doing, or if that makes any sense. So rowing is good general warm-up, but if you're going to go and say squat right after, I mean, what did you do to try to help yourself get into a better squat position beforehand? And you got to take that into account. Maybe just going through some exercises where you're trying to open up the groin. Anything that you find is very good at helping you achieve a better depth. Maybe some glute bridges help with that hip activation. But be very selective with what you do and make sure in the end that it's helping you achieve what you're trying to do in your main work. So squatting, making sure you're going to get into the best squat position as early as possible. All right.
So Sir Bench a lot one wants to roll up for a bench session, and he asked, how often during a training cycle do you shirt up?
All right. In terms, what did he say? He wants to roll up for a bench session?
Roll up for a bench session.
Welcome anytime, my friend. Melville, New York, Big Benchas HQ, our small little space here, but we get after it. Welcome anytime. Just let me know. And what was the question?
How often during a training cycle do you shirt up?
All right, so I feel pretty solid with my technique. Now, if you don't, if you're someone starting out, I always recommend and have them work a little more often in the shirt. I find, as I progress in weight, especially, 2 weeks beats me up. 2 weeks in a row is actually getting kind of hard. So, luckily, last 2 training cycles, I feel really good. Making sure the recovery's on point. But how often? So I'll start meet prep about 8 weeks out, and I'll be in the shirt 4 times before the meet. 4 times before the meet. So not too much. I mean, it takes me 4 sessions, and I'm in that 8-week period, and I'm good to go. I found this one's been my best one so far. This Arnie prep. By that 3rd session, even after the 2nd session, I had a really good feeling. The first one wasn't so great. It was pretty ugly since I was doing so much feet up work, and then I had a little bit of work in the RAM beforehand. But getting that technique down, getting that top end hold was really a struggle that first week. But 2nd was better, and 3rd, I knew it was on. I felt confident. All the work I need to do, I'm ready just to take it to the platform and just do it. So I guess it really depends on how good you feel your technique is in the shirt, and how long it takes you to get that feeling that, all right, I'm ready to go. I can pinpoint all my presses in the shirt. So it's going to be different for everyone. So that's kind of hard to make a generalization. But for myself, if you're asking for myself, I feel good about 8 weeks out starting that heavy lifting. I only need 4 sessions in the shirt, and I feel like it was even less this training cycle. I don't use the shirted work to build my shirt bench. I use my raw work to build my shirt bench. So the more I can stay out of the shirt, the better for me. So, maybe I'll cut that to 3 sessions later on, but for now I think 4 is really good, sweet spot.
So it looks like we have time for one more question from Trink889. Can you mention how a slingshot may be useful?
Slingshot may be useful. All right, so I